man, you should have been there. You wouldn't believe it. I don't believe it. It was one of the best days of my entire life. It was just a normal day. Salome, my sister-in-law, and I, we were just standing there. We were looking at fabrics. My brother had gone in to buy an animal, and we were standing there looking. What? Yeah, Salome. Yeah, the one with the lazy eye. Yes, listen to the story. So we're looking at these fabrics, and my brother had just bought this donkey, and it was over there, and we're talking about, do we want the beige-colored one, or do we want the brown-colored one? And these two men, just as quick as you please, they just saunter right up and start untying the donkey my brother had just bought. Now you know my brother, and he was not thrilled about this. He turns to the guys and he's like, hey, what you doing? It's my new donkey. And they're like, the Lord needs it. The Lord? The Lord who? The Lord, the Messiah, the one that's come to save us. Jesus, he needs this donkey. Now, there were a couple other guys standing nearby, and one of them said, Jesus. I know this Jesus character. He's the one who raised Mary and Martha's brother Lazarus from the dead. Now, being from the town of Bethany, we all knew this story. And everyone liked to pretend that they were there firsthand, but hardly anyone was. But this guy says he actually saw it, right? And the disciples are like, yeah, that's the Messiah. That's the Lord. He needs this donkey. We'll bring it back when he's done. And then another person started telling a story. They said, yeah, I heard he raised a child from the dead, and he wasn't even there. Someone else told another story, and someone else said, yeah, I heard that he cast out a legion of demons from one person. And then there was everyone's favorite story, that he had taken a bunch of water and turned it into wine. Only us Hebrews could have a Messiah who likes to party. We are so lucky. And so people are telling these stories, and the crowd's turning into a riot. People are getting excited. They're talking. And while they're telling these stories, the disciples just kind of wander off with the donkey. And I look at the people telling the stories, and I look at the donkey, and I know I'm going to get in trouble for this, but I start to chase after the donkey. And Salome grabs my arm, but I shake her off. I have to see where they're going. I have to see this man. And so I follow the donkey. I'm jumping up and down. I'm trying to make sure I don't lose sight of these two men and this donkey. And as we get to the edge of town, I can kind of see another big mob of people that are gathered, kind of like the one I just left. And I think to myself, man, this guy can attract a crowd. And I can't see. I want to see so bad. I know that he's just there. He's just in the center, and I can't see him. So I look around, and I see a palm tree. And I remember how much trouble I used to get in when I was a kid. My brother taught me how to climb them. So that's what I did. I climbed that palm tree, and I sat up there, and I looked down, and I could see him. And he looked so ordinary. His nose was a little too big for his face. He probably spent a little too much time out in the desert. You could tell by how dark his skin was. He probably hadn't had a shower in quite a while either, because his hair was starting to get into dreadlocks. But there was something about his smile. Wow. The way people were looking at him. And then I see the donkey start to approach him, and the crowd parts. And Jesus receives the donkey. And he looks around. And he looks up at me. And he smiles at me. I couldn't help but smile back. And the two men, they take their coats off and they put it on the back of the donkey. And I see other people, and they start to take their coats off, and they're putting them down on the pathway. They're making a path. And suddenly I remember what they say, that kings, they enter into a city after battle on a white horse. But in times of peace, they ride a child donkey, a colt. This man is bringing peace. He's going to bring peace to my people. I'm so excited. And I want to take my coat off. And I want to give something. Even if it's just the trotting of the donkey's feet, I want a part of this. But I know I can't take my coat off. So what can I give? Of course, it's right underneath my own 2 feet. So I snap off a palm branch and I drop it to the ground and start to climb down. And just as soon as that branch hits the ground, someone picks it up and they lie it down. And so I snap off another one, and that one disappears too. So I pick up that palm branch and I put it in my mouth, and I climb on down. And I head out, and I can't quite reach to where Jesus is because there are so many people, and they're so excited. And one little girl isn't going to make it through. So I wave, and I'm running along. I just want to be able to see him. But the running along isn't enough. I want to lay my palm down. So I zip ahead. And I can tell by now, as we've left the city of Bethany, that we're heading to Jerusalem. So I run into Jerusalem, and I've been here before. My family comes here on holidays. This is what we do when there's a religious holidays. We come here. But even during religious holidays, it was nothing like today. Nothing like today. The atmosphere, people know something's coming. It's charged. It's exciting. And I hear one man say, "O Zion, the King of David shall enter on a colt." Now, I don't know the scriptures all that well, but I'm fairly certain that's a prophecy. And I'm fairly certain this man's the Messiah. And so I know that this prophecy says, I know he's going to enter into Jerusalem and go to the temple. If I can just get ahead of the crowd, I can lay my palm branch down. So that's what I do. I start running. I start running and running and running towards the temple. And when I finally get far enough away, I stop and I start to crane my neck, trying to see if I can find him. And there are 2 Pharisees standing behind me. And I'm starting to get a little nervous because they're not too keen on us women being out there by ourselves. I really should have my brother with me. And I hear one of them say, "That rabble-rouser's coming here. Everywhere he goes, there's a mob. We need to shut this down, and quick." And the other guy says to him, "We've seen men like this before. There have been a dozen people claiming to be the Messiah. What makes this one so special?" The first one says, "Have you seen the crowd around him?" And just about then I can see Jesus. And he's coming down, and there are people, and they're waving their branches, and they are excited. And I step forward, and I get my chance to lay mine down. And I see Jesus coming, and I can't wait to be this close to him. And right before he steps on my palm, he stops short. And I hope he's going to say something to me. Even a "thanks for the donkey" will work. But he's not focused on me. the two Pharisees have stepped out in front of him, and they don't look happy. And they say to him, "Rabbi, you tell your people to quit yelling, 'Save us,' that you are not the Messiah and that you are not king." And Jesus, he looks them dead in the eye. You're not going to believe this. He looks them dead in the eye and he says, "Even if the people didn't yell, the rocks and stones would, so they might as well." And I start laughing. I can't help myself. I just burst out laughing. One, because it's pretty quick, right? That's pretty quick. And two, because I think he's right. I don't think he's trying to be funny. I'm fairly certain that there's enough energy in here to make the rocks and stones yell out today. It's an exciting day. Well, I shut up pretty quick when the Pharisees look at me. And I'm scared enough not to say anything else, but I don't quite melt back into the crowd like I normally would. And Jesus just starts moving forward, and then Pharisees move out of the way. And the people are again yelling, "Hosanna, save us. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Hosanna, Hosanna, save us." And there he goes. He's going up to the temple. And I'm a little sad, because I know that there are many areas of the temple that I'm not allowed into. And I'm going to lose sight of this man. If I could just be one of his disciples. If I could just follow him. How exciting would that be? I don't ever want to leave his presence ever again. So I do what I know best, and I climb up into a tree to watch the action, to get that front row seat. And I see Jesus approach, and I see him get off my brother's donkey, and the people are crowded around him, and they're excited, and they're talking to him. "Bless me, touch me, heal me." And he looks up, and he sees me sitting up in the tree. And he comes over. And the people stay behind this time. They don't follow him. He comes over to me and hands me the reins of that donkey. He says, "Daughter, your king thanks you." And all I could say was, "Hosanna, save me." And for the first time, his smile turns a little bit sad. And he says, "My daughter, I certainly will." And I plop down from that old tree. And he puts his hand on my forehead in this weird sort of blessing almost. And then he's gone. And I'm left in the middle of a crowd with the donkey. And the only thing I can do is hug that beast of burden and never let him go. It is the best thing, or the next best thing, to hugging Jesus. So right in front of God, right in front of the temple, right in front of the crowd, I hugged this donkey and did not let go. And Jesus does enter the temple, and it's starting to get dark. And I know I got to get home. But I also know I don't feel quite right riding this donkey. That this donkey is special. So I begin the long walk back to Bethany with the donkey by my side. You should have been there. I mean, you really, really should have been there. Oh. Hey. What's the news? Jesus? What happened to Jesus? Where is he? He's in front of Pilate. For what? What did he do wrong? Jesus is on trial in front of Pilate? Oh man, I have to be there.